we all have that one game that we just love so much that we'll go back and play it countless times and usually end up walking away loving it more than when we started. Whether it's a new game plus, a new playthrough, or walking away for a period of time and then coming back. Either way, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone's got one of these, and I think it's pretty fair to say that one of mine is Bloodborne. You know, that one of many FromSoft's masterpieces and part of the notorious Soulsborne series, which until Liza P, there's no really comparison to From Software standards. Now, it's been attempted from time and time before with like Code Vein, Thymesia, even the remake of Lords of the Fallen, but nothing comes close to it other than From Software. Now, let's start this off by saying I'm not really a Soulsborne player. I've played Elden Ring, parts of Sekiro too, but none of them have really grasped me like Elden Ring or Bloodborne. These two games for sure have put me in, I guess, the interest of this genre. So to say the least, that I owe my thanks to Elden Ring to even playing Bloodborne is an understatement. Sure, before this I've seen Bloodborne, I've seen the Dark Souls games and everything like that, but with not owning a PlayStation for majority of my life and not really enjoying these type of games until Elden Ring, I never thought I'd be saying this, but fuck man, I love this game. This game is just incredible. Hi everyone, if you don't know me, I am Sir UD, and usually we talk about my experiences with games, and today is no different. Today we're talking about Bloodborne. Now, this isn't exactly gonna be a review of this game. This is gonna be more of a retrospective on why this game encapsulated me so much. Now I will say that I played through this quite a while ago actually, and then recently decided to start New Game Plus, which is very rare for me. Usually I don't pick up games that I replay, or I usually don't pick up games to replay. Most of the time it's either multiplayer or narrative games that I play. And once you've played a narrative so many times, I just put it down and let it be for a little bit. Eventually I come back to these type of games, but definitely not something like any of these Soulsborne games. But with Bloodborne, man, it just hooked me, man. So I wanted to come on here and talk about why I love this game so much. Let's begin with the atmosphere and setting of this game, since I think this is pretty much the first thing you'll notice just by looking at the box cover, or, you know, just seeing gameplay in general. This gothic, horrifying world that's an art piece within itself. But it's not all just for looks though. It incorporates story into it too. At the beginning of the game, you'll start with mainly fighting villagers and, you know, some humanoid creatures with like werewolves or these kind of like monster beings. But as you progress through the game, you'll notice that more and more beasts and monsters and hunters are in your way. The sky will begin to change. Everything in the game has a reason for being this way. From Software has always been very discreet with their storytelling. With just playing Elden Ring, Bloodborne, and checking out Sekiro and watching a bunch of YouTube videos, you really gotta search for the story in these games. But this is probably the best game that tells a story without just outright telling you what's going on. You can piece together things that you wouldn't necessarily get without watching a lore video and some of these other ones. I mean, of course, I watched a lore video to fully understand what's going on, because god damn is this story just good. And I won't be spoiling it, even though it's an older game. Just know that there's some cool shit waiting for you in this game, especially when it comes to like the healing church, the integration of blood in the story for the hunters, the blood vials, the beasts, all the way down to like the great ones. It's just fantastic, dude. They don't miss with their stories. But did you really expect anything else from Software? I mean, their games have been notorious for like the past decade for not being just hard, but being good in general. And I get that they're pretty niche, and until Elden Ring, it wasn't exactly mainstream, but it's just amazing, dude. Now, in most games, I think the environment would have gotten stale by this point. And what I mean by that is sometimes a setting can actually take away from a game. It kind of gets stale because of the color palette, reused assets. That doesn't affect me here in Bloodborne. You know, it's such a unique art style, and you know, we don't really see this gothic horror-esque thing in gaming that much. You know, I'm a pretty big fan of horror, so that might be why I like this aesthetic so much. But even listening to other people and how some people kind of get stale with Sekiro, they weren't really stale with Bloodborne because it's unique atmosphere that kept them going through this game. Sure, there are some moments in some of the other Souls games that are kind of similar to how Bloodborne feels aesthetic wise. But I think the closest game that we've really gotten to it is either Thymesia, which it kind of does, but not really. And then Liza P, which Liza P definitely gets its inspiration from Bloodborne, at least with the looks. Combat, a whole different thing. I've only played bits of that game, so I'm not really going to speak on it, and that's not what this video is about. Now, let's move on to most people's favorite part about this game, the combat. And I mean, you know, it's a Souls game. It plays like the Souls formula, I guess. You know, you go in to take a hit, then you dodge, you hit again, you dodge, you learn the boss's moves, how aggressive they are, the right timing of their moves, all the good bullshit. But Bloodborne is a bit different than the rest of those games. It's kind of got more of this Sekiro playstyle. Now, it doesn't play like Sekiro, and what I mean by that is the game encourages you to be aggressive. It wants you to be in the boss's face. It wants you to play aggressive. You know, and some of these bosses are pretty fast and pretty like heavy hitters, which is where Bloodborne's healing mechanic comes in. Unlike most Soulsborne games, when you get hit in this game, there's a short little window where you can actually gain your health back as long as you're not hit again, which rewards you for playing aggressive and even acts as some forgiveness to being hit in the first place. Now, combined with the trick weapons and the guns, which make combat feel super good. For those of you who don't know, Bloodborne, one of Bloodborne's unique mechanics is the trick weapons, which basically means that every weapon has two forms, a light variant and a heavy variant. And you know, for example, like there's a short axe that you can end up turning into a long axe. The long axe usually has comes at a stamina cost for its longer reach, and sometimes they do a bit more damage. But you know, with that and also the gun, which kind of allows you to punish enemies. It's not necessarily a stun, but it's more of a counter. It only works on certain enemies in this game though. And if you're going into this blind or just going into it for the first time, it's a little tricky to tell what enemies the gun will actually work on. Hunters is a guaranteed though. It will always work on the hunters, which you'll see them use a gun against you too. So just be aware. Now, as a non-Soulsborne player, I found the game to be challenging, but not impossible. At first, I was definitely struggling, but once I understood, like the beasts are a bit weaker to fire or bolt, using the gun on the hunters to punish them, and learning some of the basic mechanics of a Souls game and just how Bloodborne plays in general, it got more manageable. And I actually think that Bloodborne does a great job at making you use everything in your arsenal. Like there's one of the beast bosses, which I think is the beast, the starving beast one or whatever. You know, I would throw oil on him, then I'd throw Molotov, and you know, you kind of had to work around some of these bosses to actually get through them, which I don't know. I guess I've never really played a game that forces you to use everything in your arsenal quite like this. And I actually think that it being a more linear game, you know, Elden Ring would push you to use stuff in your arsenal, but because it was open world and because there's so many ways to deal with shit, it didn't feel like you had to use everything. Whereas in Bloodborne, it really encourages you to play a certain way, I guess, on certain bosses and stuff. And, you know, that was just something I really appreciated here. Now, I do have some things I don't like about this game, for sure. This isn't a perfect game. And, you know, for me personally, I don't really like the blood vials. I think that the system's good, but I just want like a more of a concrete number, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't want to go back and farm blood vials every time I screw up on a boss fight and this and that. You know, it's good that you have like not really an unlimited number of them, but quite a few of them to use is good. I like that, but I just don't like having to farm them so many times. I like that concrete, hey, you get this amount of healing, you fuck up, you fuck up. So that's one of my complaints about this game, but it's not even that major of a complaint. Like, it's still manageable. I still like it, and it's very much something to overcome. It's just personally, I like the other system better. And I also don't like the lantern system. Like, you have to go back to a hunter's dream to reset. Again, another minor complaint. And I also don't like the challenge dungeons. I think that's a pretty universal one. Whenever I hear people go for the platinum or just talk about things that they don't like with Bloodborne, I always hear the chalice dungeons come up. So I think that one's a pretty fair complaint. But other than that, I can't really complain about anything else in this game other than the frame rate and wanting a remaster, but I'll be huffing on my copium for that one. I know I'm with the rest of the community waiting, but I don't think they're gonna do it at this point, dude. And Mikolash, I don't know how I forgot about Mikolash. His fight was the only boss fight in the game that I really didn't like. You know, the running around for fucking 5 minutes chasing that dude is, I don't know. I have the same issue with the Elden Beast in Elden Ring, is chasing him half the time, even though I think that they made the Elden Beast a little bit better. But don't get me wrong, there was definitely bosses that pissed me off in Bloodborne, but I either liked their boss fight, I felt satisfied from beating them, or they were just such a spectacle that I think that they were top tier boss fights other than Mikolash, because fuck that dude. When it comes back to it, Bloodborne will always be a game that I come back to, and it actually makes me want to play some of the other Souls games, which brings me to my next point, that here soon on the channel, I think we'll actually be doing a series of me playing the Souls games for the first time. There's something about these games that, even though they're fucking rage inducing, you just feel so satisfied from getting a boss's mechanics down, getting their moveset down and beating them. And the whole, like, even though it's linear, like the whole exploration stuff, just feeling immersed in the world. And I want to feel that way with some of these other games. You know, these games are iconic and I've never really played through them before. So what I want to do on the channel here soon is, you know, play through some of these games and I guess upload my playthroughs with them, of course. It won't be a review style video like this or some of my other videos that'll come out. So we're going to try a little bit of something different, but I want to try these games and I understand why people like them. And I love what I played for Bloodborne and Elden Ring. You know, I want to give Demon Souls a shot. Demon Souls will probably be the first one I play. Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, of course. Sekiro. And then if you guys wanted, I would replay Bloodborne and Elden Ring. I would go platinum them if you guys wanted to watch me do that. I think that would be fair because I've already played those games. And then, you know, maybe even branching out into something like Liza P or Lords of the Fallen, playing some of the other games, because I'm definitely starting to get into these. I'm falling into the addiction I think everybody else who's played these have, but there's something about these hard games that just makes us want to come back to. And Bloodborne was one of the first experiences for me that was like that. Even though I fucking hated myself at some of the moments of this game and was pulling my hair out and just, you know, deleting the game left and right, I would still re-download it and still anticipated playing it every fucking day. And even after beating it now, I still want to keep playing this game. You know, with other narrative games or just games in general, I don't get this sensation of wanting to pick it back up, even though it's frustrating. And even though I've already beaten the game, there's just something about it that is drawing me back. And that's where we're going to leave it on this one, guys. So, you know, if you guys have any suggestions on, you know, these type of games or what you guys want to say, please leave it in the comments below. And, you know, if you guys want to see me do that series of a non-Souls player playing these Souls games for the first time, make sure to like and subscribe. You know, that would really show me that this is something you guys would like to see. Yeah, guys, this has been Sir UD and I'm leaving. Peace.